co-host of Jalen and Jacoby, the founder of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, and one of the top analysts in the game, talking about hoops from ESPN NBA Countdown and more. Jalen Rose, how are you, sir?
Thank you for the love, my brother. Appreciate you having me on. And as always, hail to the victor.
Hail to the victors, valiant. How about Juwan? What a season. What a season for him last year.
I'm so happy for him and how he comported himself. Like the one thing about Juwan, when we were freshmen in college, we were the same age, but it was like he was always like 4 or 5 years older than everybody else. Well, especially me. I guess I should speak for myself. And in taking the job the first season and really coming after John Beilein, who did a great job. You know, we were irrelevant for a long time basketball-wise. And John Beilein put us back on the map. He started recruiting players that turned into 3 or 4 year players that now have become really good pros like Duncan Robinson, Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr. And, for him to take the baton the way he has, and, you know, I was disappointed in the UCLA loss. I was at the game. With my daughter.
I saw.
You know, I was at the game. I went to a couple of NCAA tournament games. And, of course, as a fan and a crazy alum, I'm going to always be hurt when we don't go undefeated and win it all. But having the number one recruiting class and being in the living rooms of top players and top transfers and, like, having that respectability back for the program really feels good. And I'm really happy that he brought that back.
Well, especially since we all know, Jalen, we heard about the Michigan shouldn't in terms of his hiring and what is he, you know, that he paid his dues as an assistant in the association. But, you know, he's never done this at college, and he was smart enough to reach out to Phil Martelli, and he's smart enough to be and believe in himself. And what he did last year was remarkable. And now we're already hearing, like, you know, Celtics jobs open. Who wouldn't want to coach, you know, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? The Portland's job is open, and who wouldn't want to maybe take a run at Damian Lillard? You're hearing his name mentioned already. How concerned should I be, do you think, Jalen? Here.
Well, he's a professional, and there's a price of doing business. And you and I both know you can really love your college, but if one of those situations come with a blank check, you got to reconsider your life. That's just how this works. And the kind of money that coaches have been getting, look at Matt Rule's contract. He went from college to the pros. He got a major deal. The kind of money that collegiate coaches are getting and professional elite-level coaches are getting is astronomical. But I know his heart is in Ann Arbor. I know that he wants to bring a national championship back to the school. And we do have the number one recruiting class coming in next year, and I know he's excited, and he and his staff are coaching. And so I would tell you to breathe easy, that I anticipate that he'll still be with us for the foreseeable future, and committed to doing all of the things he said at his initial press conference.
Jalen Rose here on the Rich Eisen Show, and we'll put a pin in the Wolverine conversation for a second. I want to circle back at the end.
Why?
Well, I mean, we could.
World, listen to us talk about Michigan.
Okay, I couldn't.
I'm just joking.
No, I know that. I want to put a pin in it just for the moment because I could do all of that, and you know, there is so much going on in the playoffs. No, I know you are too, Jalen. You're the best, man. Seeing the way the Nets have performed without Harden, he's just played just 1 minute, and they have just absolutely spanked the Bucks. What makes us think anybody could take care of the Nets once Harden does potentially come back in these playoffs, as we assume he will, despite how significant this hamstring injury could be? Read me this situation if you don't mind.
So I can't front. I'm disappointed in the Bucks. I actually picked them to win this series. And if James Harden go out the first minute of the first quarter, it's one thing to lose that game. Okay, Blake Griffin was Kaiser Soze in Detroit. You surprised that he back dunking now. Got it. Okay, you didn't understand that Joe Harris was, you know, one of the best catch-and-shoot players we have in the league. Okay, bang, he got going. We know what KD and Kyrie can do. they were amazing. They're magicians when they get going, especially in one-on-one situations. Okay, I'll give you game one. But then you come out in game two and you're trailing by 49 points at some point of the game. That's just unacceptable. And they have the back-to-back reigning MVP in Giannis, who I voted for when he won the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. And the one thing about this season, and I also picked the Bucks to win this series. I was betting on chemistry. I was betting on cohesion. I talked about them adding Drew Holiday and believing in Middleton. But the elephant in the room is once the playoffs start, Giannis can't make shots outside of the paint. He's like 5 of 35 outside of the paint in the playoffs. He's 23 for 43 from the free throw line. The game is so tough when your best player, a superstar player, can't make shots. And then on the other end, when KD doing his double crossover and hitting his loud step-back jumper and getting an and one, that was over Giannis. And then when Kyrie stroll up like he at Rucker Park and do the same thing, that was over Giannis. And when Blake Griffin dunking again, that was over Giannis. And so as this is happening, the rest of your roster and team and coaches see this too, and you become so demoralized that you get beat the way they got beaten in game two. So I think effort is going to be there for the Bucks in game three. I anticipate they're going to win game three, but I want to make sure I celebrate the greatness of KD and Kyrie, true enough. But I can't act like I wasn't severely disappointed in how the Bucks played both games when they were in Brooklyn.
So then let's just say you will be ultimately disappointed by the Bucks, and Harden, just in the middle of your answer, was ruled out for game three. Who can dispatch with the Nets? Is it a Sixers team? Should they get past the Hawks? Could the Hawks do it if they prove to be so plucky, or is it somebody in the West or nobody? Give me your answer on that, your first blush response.
Here's the thing. If you're the Eastern Conference and you're the field and you can't beat the Nets without James Harden, you're really in trouble the next few years. So I want to believe if James Harden doesn't come back and he's not healthy against Philadelphia, who I anticipate will beat Atlanta, who outplayed expectations so far and continue to do so, and Trae Young and Bogdanovich have been outstanding. But the Nets shouldn't be beating teams by 49 points. Mm-hmm. And you would hope as a professional team they shouldn't advance in the East without James Harden. And so I want to believe the balance of Philly with Embiid's post-ups, Simmons and Thibault's defensive ability, Milton and Curry's shot-making ability. I would hope, just because Philly can play multiple styles, that they should be able to beat the Nets, especially if James Harden isn't playing.
Jalen Rose here on the Rich Eisen Show, co-host of Jalen and Jacoby from ESPN NBA Countdown, and again, the founder of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, which I want to talk about in a second here on the Rich Eisen Show. Fellow Michigan man Rob Pelinka should do what this offseason? Just sit back and say, let's just get everybody healthy, run it back. I like the changes that I made. The bubble affected pretty much everybody and maybe even the MVP of the league. Jokic might feel the results shortly, but or do they have to make significant changes here in Los Angeles?
They won't make significant changes because none of the cornerstones will be uprooted. Not Rob, who's already, as we know, won a championship with them. I don't think it's going to be – there won't be any change with Frank Vogel, and obviously won't be any change with LeBron and AD. So as you dig deeper into the roster, it's like, okay, are we going to re-sign Dennis Schroeder? He turned down an $80 million deal. He didn't perform well in the playoffs, and it's never good when Magic Johnson tweets that you're not a Laker. They're just not good for negotiations.
That's correct.
It's not good for negotiations. And so you look at Dennis Schroeder, and then you look at Montrezl Harrell, who has the player option. He went from the Clippers to the Lakers. He thought he was going to increase his value. He decreased his value. So he probably opt back in to, I believe, $9 million next year. And then the third piece is Kyle Kuzma, who most people should remember that he's an asset Like, he was taken late in the first round. You lose Ball, you lose Ingram, you still hold on to him, and all of a sudden he becomes a rotation player, not a consistent player, but his game just isn't an equal fit with LeBron and AD up front. It just, like, it's just not an equal fit. So those are the three players, Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, and Kyle Kuzma, if they're going to be like any changes to their rotational players, other than the guys they picked up late, like an Andre Drummond, Marc Gasol, guys that, they pick up as they get bought out or, get disgruntled at another situation. So I say you stay patient, you stay pat. It's just a wide-open championship this year. You still hope to have a healthy LeBron. And you hope, in theory, you can rely on AD for the entire regular season. That's the biggest question mark.
All right, Jalen Rose, in the few minutes I have left with you, let's get into the Leadership Academy. What's going on? How can we help?
Today, we actually have a senior barbecue from 1 to 5. It's a little rainy outside. I don't know if you heard me pause, but I literally looked outside and, it's raining. I can't believe it because it wasn't raining when I just walked in the house. But we're open enrollment. We're tuition free. We're public charter. I founded the school in 2011. We're nonprofit. A couple of things that make us unique and special is that we're 9 through 16 model. So we have 400 plus scholars in high school and have another 500, which will be 600 plus when this year's graduates happen.
That's amazing.
In secondary education. There's college of military, community college of military, community college, trade school. And so we're a 9 through 16 model, and I'm really proud that our graduation is going to be this Saturday. And we graduate approximately, I think, 83 young people this year as well. And so I'm really just excited about all of the students and the families believing in my vision, all of the donors. We have an amazing board. I have an amazing co-founder. It's been a labor of love, and I truly appreciate a lot of the sponsors. But we're taking sports, and we're also influencing the community because Tom Gores and the Pistons, they've been a terrific supporter. They've been a terrific donor, and they've committed to help with our expansion.
And so
Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins,
of course,
is also committed to contribute to our expansion. And so, and big shout out to the Davis Elkin Foundation as well, and to Jeep, who've all been terrific sponsors. So being a nonprofit and being tuition-free, we get zero state funding for our facility, zero state funding. So I took an elementary school and converted it into a high school. And so now our goal is to expand, get more classrooms, get a college-sized gym. And I'm really excited about the progress of the school. And when you're in the city, I got to give you a tour, man.
I love it.
You got to come check out the students.
No, I would love it.
They know who you are. They know about the show.
I would really love it, Jalen.
Broadcasters.
I would love it. I really would. And people could go to jrladetroit.com to learn more about this jewel in Northwest Detroit, in the great state of Michigan. I'm so proud to see you doing this, Jalen, and what you've done with your platform and what you're doing with your platform. It means so much. And now that's where I want to remove the pin on the Michigan chat. I saw you and C-Webb chatting on the Worldwide Leader in Sports, and I got to tell you, it gave me a pleasure. I couldn't have been more happy. It gave me a big smile. And I saw that C-Webb told Dan Patrick that the two of you still need to get into a room. How can I do that for you? Can I get you a room? Does that need to happen with you and Chris?
Just make it a presidential and order a lot of champagne and order a lot of lobster and let us sit there for 30 minutes, and then we invite the other three members of the crew in and put us all in black and white zoot suits and big hats with big feathers and show how we winning the score of the game and the game of life.
So that's it. Do you need a couple of minutes? Would you agree with that assessment that the two of you still need a couple of minutes to hash something out?
Well, I can't here's the overarching point. The overarching point is that we're longtime friends that became brothers, and there have been some turbulent times, days, weeks, months, years in our relationship, but we're still family. And so he and I want to iron it out. Our goal is to iron it out. I believe we will iron it out, and there will be a time. There's going to be a time. There's going to be a time when we're in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm going to have a fresh cut, and I'm going to be suited and booted like I'm supposed to. And we're going to be watching Juwan Howard coach the team to a victory.
Oh, gosh.
I'm confident that that's going to happen. Shout to Ray Jackson. Shout to Jimmy King. It's going to happen.
I can't wait for something like that to happen, Jalen. And then I guess to just wrap it all up, you've mentioned style and fashion, and it's very important when we are talking about the Fab Five. And that's how I want to turn things over to my social media grandmaster, TJ Jefferson, to ask you about what he asked Juwan about just a few weeks ago. TJ, I will give you the floor in the few minutes we have left with Jalen. Please go for it.
Hey,
TJ.
What up, Jalen?
What up, though?
So, it's funny, man. If you had told me back in 1991 when I was sitting in press row watching you drop 20 points in Pittsburgh at the Dapper Dan game, then the year 2021, we'd be on the Rich Eisen Show.
I want MVP of that. I want MVP of that game.
Did
That
Jalen-
was just as big as the McDonald's game.
Yes, indeed.
That's one of my favorite games.
And I saw it. I was there. I was baseline, if I recall correctly, and watch you do your thing. So if you'd have told me in 2021 we'd be on the Rich Eisen Show on Peacock talking, I mean, my mind's blown away.
I would
right
have said,
now.
what do you mean by that too? At that day too, okay? I mean, so
crazy.
But Jalen,
Crazy.
way back in those days, bro, I know for a fact that, well, not for a fact, I heard that, you really wanted spandex under your shorts because the shorts were too short and they didn't give it to you. And I'm sure you didn't put in all that work at Basketball City in Detroit to make these shorts longer the way you guys did. And as you being the architect of the Fab Five look, you got those baggy shorts and you turned everybody in the world onto that look. And now these kids, man, I don't know if it's CrossFit and they're happy with what their quads look like, but these shorts, man, they're heading up north. They're getting a little tight. They're getting a little short. I talked to Jalen and I talked to Chris and Juwan about it. So I got to ask Jalen, how do you feel about these shorts creeping up the thigh?
So don't tell anybody, but I was born in the 70s. And that's how my favorite players growing up used to wear them when I was watching the game. And so whether it's Magic, Bird, like Dr. J, Isaiah Thomas, like he Dennis Rodman and John Stockton probably had classic short shorts.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Like it was like almost like soft porn type that they fall down. With all of these cameras available. Like, imagine Shaq with some small shorts.
I can't.
Him falling down, right?
Yep.
He'd be bursting out of things like the Incredible Hulk. And so I believe that fashion transcends. And by the way, check out Renaissance Man every Thursday, a column I write for the New York Post, and a podcast that I release.
Yes.
I'm very happy to report that we were recently top 10 in the United States. Had some great guests on there. And on that, I talk fashion and entertainment and lifestyle. And what ends up happening is we think we're inventing something, but it's already been seen. How many times you guys been in the car with a younger person and they're listening to a song like it's the first time that beat has been made? And they're like, oh, okay. So if I say Keith Sweat on TV, they may be young, but they're ready. People think that I'm singing Beyonce.
That's true.
Right? And so that's what makes it a good catchphrase because you grab two audiences with it. But back to what you were saying. And what ends up happening is when people see that one look got mastered, a lot of people that are creative think, well, I'm gonna go another direction. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to flip it. And so it's like, oh, okay, they were long then. I'm aware. And you saw various college players try to do it. Like there's a young man, big shout to Memphis and Penny Hardaway. I joked with him when he was on our show about this. He has a guy on his team that wears the really small shorts. And one time he had a breakaway layup and he missed it. And I promise it was because of the shorts. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, he just got, you know what I'm saying? Young fella got to loosen up. You know what I'm saying? Let them things breathe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Got to go in there strong and finish that. And so I think it's that also, but and now things are more aerodynamic. Like, you look back at things, like look at LeBron's oversized suit when he got drafted, or look at some of the NBA players when they were on night shows in the 90s and stuff like that.
TJ Ford was wearing culottes.
Correct. They were oversized. And how about a guy that went to the draft with a red and white pinstripe suit with some red Maury Gators, right?
He was looking fresh to death, though, Jay.
Do you think somebody's going to take you in the top 3 dressed like that? I know you were like, what were you thinking? You know what I'm saying? But either way.
We're seeing it right now, Jalen. We got up on the screen. Look at that look. Oh, my gosh. Denver Nuggets lid.
And by the way, if it's a really big picture, I had like a pimple underneath my eye that I was trying to pop all night, and it's just like a spot on my face. It seems like that always happens on the big stage. Something like that happens when you grow up in the hood, never been to the dentist, never been to the dermatologist, and you're about to get drafted tomorrow. You got Jerry Krause on one phone, and you got the alcohol in your hand trying to pop a bump. And so for the young people who switch up the shorts, it's just because they're just trying to change the game a little bit, you know. But I appreciate, you know, the influence we have had on the game, we continue to have on the game. But it's sparked by the people, it's sparked by the culture. And it was birthed by people still believing in us at that time. And, Rich, you know this as well as anyone.
Oh,
and
yes.
obviously, if you saw me at Dapper Dan, you definitely know that I'm glad that I've seen the cosmic shift of being disliked and hated to being appreciated. Because if you do a list of most hated college basketball players, I'll probably be on it. And I feel like I'm a likable person.
Jalen Rose, everybody. What an answer.
That's what's up.
Wow. Jalen, thanks for the call. Best to Molly. Love seeing what she's up to these days, man. Send our best to your wife.
I love you, my brother. I appreciate the love. Don't hesitate to reach out about anything.
I will do that. Same to you. That's Jalen Rose, everybody. The one and only. What an answer.
I love
you. You knew he'd give you that answer.
Yeah.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.